Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Agile IT Tech Talk. As always, I'm your host, Sean Spicer, but something special. We got Paul Zorio back today, one of our engineers here, and today we're going to be taking a trip through the Microsoft 365 Admin Center as kind of a beginner step. How you doing today, Paul?
Doing well. How about yourself, Sean? Thanks for having me.
Doing great. What are we going to talk about today?
Today we'll be going over the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, as well as all the different features and configurations that are available to you.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put myself inside the computer. I never will get tired of that joke. I'm in the computer. But we can see your screen now. So what are we looking at?
All right, perfect. So this is going to be your splash page. For anyone who's familiar, this is going to be a very familiar site for you. For those new timers, those first timers, this will be what you see when you initially log in. One thing I do want to drag your attention to is there are actually two ways to get to the admin center. If you log in with an admin assigned role to portal.office.com, you will have the ability to click on this admin tile right here. Or you can navigate to admin.microsoft.com or .us, depending on what environment you're living in there or you're working from. But both will get you to the same location here, and both allow you to manage the exact same things as well. So on this splash page here, you can see finish up setting up Office 365. There will be little pop-ups that come up and show you different things that are still pending, possibly in your tenant, especially if it's a brand new tenant. You can go to the guided setup, or you can ignore this or remind you later. And then right below that is where your cards are going to be. Now, these cards can be very useful because they can give you a snapshot of user management, of what your billing is going to be, if you have Active Directory Connect set up, what the status of that is, when the last time it synced was, and you can modify all these cards to be relevant to what your situation is. So if you didn't have AD Connect, you could remove that card, or you could add it if needed. And there's quite a few cards available to you. Service Health is a very good one in case Microsoft is having any service outages. That'll be a high level view of that. All the way down through Message Center, data loss prevention, what domains you have. You can add these to customize your layout to be as logical for you as you need it to be. And it'll show you some very useful information right off the bat. Now, if you're a normal person like me and you want to switch to dark mode and save your eyes for down the road, you can go up here and flip over to dark mode.
Yay!
Yay! And it's so much easier to see now. Now, as we move along here, on the Home tab, this is what you'll see. You'll see on the bottom of my menu here, it says Show All. So if you click on this, every option available for the Admin Center will be here. And as you see, if I scroll over, you'll see the outline of a little pin here. So if there are other areas that you're getting into pretty frequently, if you're going to reports pretty often, if you're getting into the Exchange Admin Center pretty often, you can click on this pin and it'll save it so that when you go back and log in for your initial time, or you log in to take some actions, those will be right there pinned for you. And if there are things here that aren't relevant to what you were doing, if you're not dealing with billing very often, you can go up to billing and unpin that. And then you can see you can navigate that way as well.
And that is super handy. And that's specific to the individual user, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep. It's based on who you're logged in as. You can adjust and customize these views for however works best for you. Awesome. And then moving right along here, the first option you're going to see across the top here is you're going to be your Users tab. This is where you're going to go to be able to manage your users, add users, create new users. You can check the status of users, whether they're cloud only or they're synced. You can reset passwords. You can add licenses, add them to groups, adjust aliases and Exchange aliases, as well as UPNs, anything like that. We can do a deeper dive into that on a different session, but this is a very powerful tool. This is probably where you'll spend most of your time, since identity is kind of the framework of what everything Microsoft is doing right now. So this is where you can manage those identities. The nice thing about this is if you do end up deleting a user, and this user had a mailbox or a license associated to them, they will be kept in this deleted users page for a soft delete state of 30 days. And that gives you the ability to restore that deleted user, as well as any items associated to that user's account, including mailboxes. So if you needed to go in and get back into a person's mailbox and the user account was accidentally deleted, Microsoft has your back, and they put a soft delete on those user accounts for 30 days, after which it'll be permanently deleted.
And we do have a previous tech talk about offboarding people from Office 365 where we fired Megan Bowen. So I'll put a link to that in the description.
About time she was fired. She's always a problem child. And then you can see under here, contacts and guest users. Your contacts are just going to be the same thing you will see in your Exchange Admin Center. Those are your Exchange contacts. And then guest users are going to be any of your B2B users that you've invited into your tenant to act as a guest. They will be listed here as well. Moving right on down, we've got groups here. You can see your active groups. This is where you can go to create any different type of group you can through the Microsoft 365 Center. You can create a Microsoft 365 group, which you can then either add a team to or not. So you can see that in the status here. The Microsoft 365 group is kind of the generic way to go as your general group that you're going to use for access or for collaboration. And then the team side of that will be enhancing that collaboration. And you can also do a security group, which will be just that. You put someone in that group that gives them access to something. And you can do a mail-enabled security group, which will allow you to send alerts to that security group. So if you set up a cybersecurity group and you want them to receive alerts from the Exchange Admin Center, you can set it up that way as a mail-enabled security group, and it acts like a distribution group.
Great.
They do the same thing here for you as well. If you do delete a group and you need to restore it, it will be here for 30 days. You can see across the top. Once that 30 days is over, it'll be a permanent deleted state. So if you do need to go back and restore someone, you have 30 days to do that. And then right under deleted groups are shared mailboxes. This is going to be similar to what distribution groups used to be like, except you can actually get into these mailboxes now. You just add a user to the member as a member to this mailbox, and they can send and receive just like you typically would for any other standard mailbox. And we can do a deeper dive into the types of mailboxes in a different session as well.
Great.
Roles right here, we'll touch on briefly. This will just show you what roles are currently assigned. If there are any users assigned to those roles, you can go through Azure AD Exchange and Intune. It just kind of narrows down what those roles are based on what you have currently in your tenant. And you can then see who is assigned to each one of those roles as well. Resources is going to be just that, your exchange side of things, whether it's your rooms and equipment or your resources, or your sites. And you can view more details about all of that through the Exchange Admin Center. Underneath that is going to be your billing. This will be dependent on how you are billing for this tenant here, whether you're going through a CSP or whether you're doing a direct bill through Microsoft. You'll be able to purchase services, especially if you are doing a direct bill through Microsoft, a pay-as-you-go. You can add services here. You can do a breakdown of your products here, as well as how many licenses have been assigned and how many are purchased. So you can see here we've used 20 of our 20 E5 demo trials, and it gives you an idea of when that trial will expire, if there is a trial in there. Otherwise, you'll just see a basic count of your licenses as well as the purchase quantity and assigned out, so you can give an idea of how many licenses you have to work with. Licenses will be a little bit more specific of a breakdown for that. Kind of gives you an idea of what available licenses you have, how many you've been using, and then if you click into these as well, it'll give you a little more detail about each one of these licenses and who's been assigned what licenses, so then you can manage those as needed. Bills and payments is going to be pretty straightforward. This is where if you have any outstanding bills or previous bills that you paid directly through Microsoft, those will show up there. Billing accounts is where you'll put those pay accounts to pay Microsoft if you're not going through a CSP, as well as payment methods. And then billing notifications, you can set up saying, hey, your payment is due in 10 days. Notify our billing admin to let us know we have to send out an invoice. Again, that will be very dependent on whether you're going through a direct bill through Microsoft or going through a cloud services provider or a CSP. Support here will be actually a very important tab. This will allow you to open up support service requests with Microsoft support directly. What you can do is you can also view any service requests that you've initially created, and you can then add notes to those in case there's something you need to append to the progress of whatever the issue is. And these service requests will go through. It'll try to give you an idea of solutions, quick help solutions based on what you're typing in here. For example, if you can't install Office, it'll try to give you a quick help guide on what the possible solutions to that are. But once the self-help solutions are there and you realize that they're not going to be helpful, you can click on Contact Support here and then set up everything you need to in order to receive support from Microsoft. And then the customer lockbox requests, if this is a configuration that has been enabled in your tenant, it does require the Azure ADP 2 licensing. It will allow you to then dictate the data that Microsoft Support has access to. If they need access to specific data that is stored within your tenant, you can set up customer lockbox and grant them explicit access, and that's the only way they can get it is if you approve that access on a case-by-case basis. Under settings here, this will be the settings for the entirety of your tenant. This will be the domains that you have, your default domain that you signed up with the tenant, as well as any additional custom domains that you have here. And regardless of whether they've been validated or not, they will show here. And the nice thing about this too is if there is a domain that you're trying to add and there are extra steps that need to be done, you can click into it and it will tell you exactly what else needs to be done, what DNS records it's looking for, any issues that might have with connecting to those DNS records. It'll give you all of that information in this page here. Org settings, this is where you can go to adjust things like your rights management service. If you want to use Office message encryption, if you want to do Cortana, set up mail auditing, this is kind of your one-stop shop for skipping around to different features that are available to you throughout the tenant. And again, this will be customized based on what you currently have enabled in your Microsoft tenant. And then partner relationships is going to be what I was referring to earlier with your cloud services provider. If you do have a CSP, their information will show here when you click on that partner relationships tab here. Moving right along, setup. This is where you can go. There'll be a quick overview of what is currently configured in your tenant, as well as things that can still be configured. Get your custom domain set up here. It shows that we've already completed data loss prevention, but a very good, a high-level checklist of saying, making sure you have the tenant and all those loose ends tied up to then move forward to harden your environment even more with the additional security solutions available through Microsoft. Under reports here, productivity score and usage. As you can see here, you have to enable this, but this will show you a breakdown of things such as OneDrive, SharePoint, who's using Teams for collaboration. And then it gives you a little bit more of a breakdown if you go to the usage side of things to see who's using their OneDrive, who's using their SharePoint, who's using different teams, the active users. It gives you a good high-level breakdown of what your users are doing within their organization, as well as what apps they're using to kind of help you streamline what apps you're deploying to your users, or if there is something that needs more attention, this will give you an idea for that. And then last but not least, under the health here, this will be helpful. This is one of the cards that we referenced earlier, the service health. This will let you know if there are any advisories or incidents out currently available for Microsoft. We can see there is 2 advisories available for the Microsoft 365 suite. And it'll give you a breakdown of what those are, as well as what the initial or the suspected timeline for resolution of that is. And then if you move your way down here, this will be Windows Release Health is actually the releases and the notes about the feature updates that have been pushed out for your Windows 10 workstations. And it'll give you an idea of any issues that have come up for those, as well as what the resolution are. So this is actually a really cool new feature that they've added recently. If you click on known issues up here, it'll show you which update affected what as you're going through and how to resolve those, or if they've been resolved internally.
God, I need that at home.
Don't we all? Message Center, anything that will be pertinent to your tenant here will be posted. Any major changes that are coming down the pipeline from Microsoft will be posted here. So keeping an eye on this and what is going on is a good idea, just to make sure that a change doesn't come in and blindside you, and you have to go through and readjust everything. This will give you an idea of what those changes are, as well as when they will be coming. You can give product feedback if you'd like to improve your experiences. And the network connectivity, this is also a new thing. This will show you what your connectivity is around the world to the different data centers that you have available to you for accessing your Microsoft tenant. Now, as we move down under the admin centers here, we will go over each admin center in a different session, but these will take you to the different portals that you'll need to. This is kind of nice because this is really your one-stop shop to hop to the different portals that Microsoft has. There are quite a few of them. So you have your security portal, your compliance portal, endpoint manager, aka Intune. Intune and endpoint manager are synonymous with each other. You can hop right to Azure Active Directory here. You have the same capabilities in Azure Active Directory as you do on the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, managing your identities and groups. You got your Exchange Online, SharePoint, and Teams there. And again, you can pin any of these that are relevant for you and unpin ones that you aren't constantly getting into.
And I know we're not trying to go into rabbit holes, but click that all admin centers. Because there's even more.
Even more.
Yep. So everything comes out of this portal or admin portal in Microsoft 365.
Correct.
Great. Thank you very much, Paul. That was a mouthful. I'm sure you are ready for a drink of water. For everybody watching, give us a like and follow. We're going to come through in the next coming sessions, and we're going to look deeper into each of these different tabs in the Admin Center to give a more in-depth view. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thanks, John. Have a good one.
You too.